Alrighty, you guys, it is about that time. As you guys know, whenever a new update releases, we've got new characters to play around with. I like to do my tier lists, and we got to update it a little bit. We got to shift a few characters around. Now we got two girls in place. Dark elements have slightly shifted, so that way we can place them where we need to place them. But on top of that, with the characters that we have had, and obviously with the modes that we've gotten, you know, certain characters have come out to actually be good, bad, etc. Alright, so I'm going to be shifting a few characters first and foremost, and that is Beast. I'm going to drop him down to S+. Still a fantastic character, but again, like I said, with Dark Element, with the introduction of a new Breaker and a new Attacker, DPS of course, things are going to get shifted. So I am going to be placing Beast down below to S+. I still cater to leave Bora being a 1 above him, but once you get to the A3, A4 mark for Beast himself, that's when things start cooking. But we'll leave him there. Hansi, I'm also going to drop 1 below, just because out of the supporters that we have currently, she's good, don't get me wrong, but compared to the other two, I'm just like, I feel like she's 1 below, right? And plus, my full experience with Hansi hasn't exactly been the best. Developers have also noticed this. I'm sure in saying they are going to be providing some sort of buff for her in the future, or something's going to be happening with Hansi. So, but yeah, I'll leave it down to S+. I'm going to be pushing Go up to SS+. Once you get to the A3 mark for Go, yeah, he's a bit of a monster in terms of damage, consistency of the core attack meta, and of course, as I've mentioned, A3, so that way you can maximize and capitalize on the breakage. But yeah, with the A1 that you get off for free, that makes it so that his core power and core damage, as well as the consistency of breaking power, it's high up there because it's one after another, pretty consistent. And then of course, once you fully cater to the A3, that almighty break on the ultimate, that is pretty disgusting because it happens all at once. Whereas Harper, it's more of a build up, if that makes sense, right? Because per hit, it chips it away. But it's still granted as an almighty break with the amount that she can break away. But with Go, it's literally instant. Alright, so that's why I'm bumping him up to SS+ with the amount of help that he has helped me out with, especially with like the levels going into the Scorpion boss. And when it comes to going forward with light missions and the light element in general, Go has been an absolute savior in terms of with that quickness of breakage, whilst providing the light weakness to the enemy. That is absolutely beautiful. And yeah, just kind of being that fantastic support. So I will bump it up to SS+ for an A3 minimum Go. Let me clarify that, A3 minimum. If you have him at A1, I'll class him as SS, but A3 minimum and onwards, SS+. Alright, that's where I'm going to be shifting things around. But for the most part, that is kind of where I am still. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to leave things, of course, in terms of characters and where I deem them fit, of course. Actually, Anna, you're going to go up by 1 because you're actually coming out to be a pretty solid character. There we go. Boom. Alright, so that's kind of like the updated look of, you know, the piece of content that we've got, and things just kind of shifting, as you could say. So now it is time to look at on where we are going to be placing Harper and Charlotte. Now, it's a no-brainer that with where Dark Element has come, that these two girls have really come about and taken over. Right? They are now the forefront of the Dark Element with Lee Bora. Damage output, the buffs of one another on what they can produce, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they've helped me out on getting through much harder difficulty content that I struggled, and once Charlotte released, and by having these two, they were able to get the job done and push through, even when I had like 150 less on my power level, 100k less on my power level. Of course, they were that good, and of course, it's all to do with that ultimate consistency through every single rotation, just by getting Charlotte to A1, of course. That to me is still an I absolutely love that they've allowed us to actually do that and bring something uniqueness to where we're not just consistently going off from building up the power gauge, where Charlotte herself has her way of going about building up her ultimate herself, if that makes sense, right? So yeah, that's pretty solid to see. But either way, obviously Harper being the tank that she is. Now, I really can't separate them both because obviously, as we've spoken about with Charlotte, she's got a high amount of damage, A1 straight off the bat will make it so that every rotation she pops off the ultimate, of course, fantastic. And then of course fully more catering to her set itself, getting it to A3 ultimate. I mean, to be fair, if I'm being completely honest, getting that A3 mark for Charlotte, that Loki is a slapper of a pinpoint dupe, to be fair. Now, as I've mentioned, A1 is the sweet spot, and it is, but like if you can get A3, then that's kind of like you're done. You really, I mean, if you want to cater to going furthermore on, you can do so, but A3 is like chef's kiss. Charlotte is ready to cook, right? Because you're getting the rotation of the ultimate, you're getting that 15%, and then you're topping it off by maximizing that ultimate damage output on every rotation. Again, A4, A5 is just insult to injury towards the enemy, right? It's just that little sprinkle on top. But A3, just catering to that, it's for me personally, because that's where I got her at, she do be cooking. And then of course you got Harper providing with that breakage, quick breakage I will say, across the board. But more importantly, she's a tanker, provides damage, provides support in terms of buffing up the ultimate skill damage increase from Dark Hunters. That is what I love. And I've mentioned this before in terms of when the teacher drops, like what furthermore could they do to cater? Because Charlotte is going to be dropping bombs once we get that support coming in. Harper is already providing that little bit more into going around the 6-7 million mark. For me personally, that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I will admit that paralysis on the core attack, I cannot get over how clutch that debuff is. In terms of giving you that spare moment just to kind of pile on the damage as well as, you know, get the breakage going. This paralysis is disgustingly clutch. Disgustingly clutch. So, excluding the appearance of the girls themselves and furthermore catering into on what they're bringing to the table with their kits, these girls are fantastic for the Dark Element. I wish they weren't children. I wish they weren't the way that they looked, you know, but at the end of the day, they're here now. It is what it is, and we're using them for their kit, and their kit is doing the job. Alright, so with all that being said, with all the situation that I needed help in terms of because I mean, look, Dark Hunters, even for myself, you know, it's not exactly been the best. I've barely built up. The only character that I've got going on is Libora. Like, even though I've got Beast maxed out, like, I'm gonna be honest, my Beast struggles to hit 1 million on an ult once I get his second skill active. Even with the buffs that they've applied onto his kit, I mean, it's good buffs, don't get me wrong, but compared to the other hunters, of course, and where he should be hitting, it's just not. It wasn't promising, unfortunately. I needed more firepower. So, with all that being said, where am I going to be placing these girls? Now, I am going to be placing them in a way to where I've got my hunters. So, because obviously I can only go off from where I deem them fit, and obviously as you guys can see across the board, I've got them at close to 170, 3 dupes in, maxed out weapons, alright? And so with all of that, I am going to be placing, because I mean, to me this is kind of across the board the same. For right now, I am going to be placing Harper and Charlotte in SS. Now, the reason why I say for now is because things could change when Workshop or Brilliant Light releases, depending on how these characters play out, because seeing how that game mode plays out with the Dark Element weakness, Charlotte I could potentially bump up. To be fair, I might bump up Charlotte once I get her to A5 just to kind of see what the output is going to be, and more importantly, Charlotte might be bumped up to SS Plus once the support or once their teach comes into play. Same thing for Harper, who knows, but I feel like Harper will stay at SS, but depending on what teach brings into the table, that might make Charlotte more of a monstrous DPS, and so that might make it so that I could push her up to SS+. But for right now, this is where I'm going to be leaving things in terms of where I deem them fit, with the current play that I've had with these two girls, with where they've helped me out with certain content. They're fantastic dark units, I'm not going to deny that. I'm still kind of in my mind thinking if I should give Charlotte the top spot, only because in terms of that consistency of the ultimate and the dark DPS damage that she possesses, along with the boost that she's getting, I mean, it is kind of disgusting. But I'm going to leave it for now. I kind of want to see what she's going to be cooking up once we get to the A5 margin, and then bringing into the teach because again, if we can max her out, capitalize on getting the gratitude buff, and then having Teach herself, which more than likely will cater more to the boosting of the Dark Element damage and potentially ultimate, then that with Harper, Charlotte could be dropping, hey, hopefully like what high-end do be cooking, you know, 15 mil, 16 mil, 17 mil, God knows, right? But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to leave things, boys, in terms of the tier list. I'll update it as per usual once Gina releases, and furthermore see if characters need to be switched up. But I think for right now, I'm going to leave them SS. I feel comfortable leaving them there. They're fantastic characters, but I need to see a little bit more for Charlotte. I think even if I do max out Harper, she's still going to be SS worthy. But part of me just feels like once we cater more for Charlotte, I can probably bump her up.